What is up, everybody in YouTube land, and welcome to this episode of From the Mind of an Appliance Technician. I am your friendly neighborhood appliance technician, Chris, and this is my channel, C&G Appliance Television. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today. I know uploads have been a little sporadic. I kind of missed the third part of the week this past week. That's just due to a whole bunch of stuff I've had going on around here in the house. So I apologize for that. I'm making up for it with this one. I might fit something else in there. I've been trying to do a little bit of the technical thing in between when I get a chance. Things just have been kind of slow around the company. So that's just how it is sometimes. It's the old owner of the place, who was a very grandmotherly old woman, used to say it's either feast or famine, and she wasn't wrong. So, with that said, let's get on to shop announcements. We got rid of that Maytag on, was it Saturday? And this is, by the way, this is January 27th. It's a Monday, 2020. And so Saturday, this past Saturday, we got rid of that Maytag. So kick that thing out the door, and I'll tell you this. I'm going to segue into something after I give you the next shop announcement. Kind of doing this backwards, but anyway, we have a stack unit that I acquired, and it's an old Dependable Care stack unit, which is a really, really great stack unit. It's one of the ones that Maytag made back when they were Newton, Iowa Maytag. So it is an awesome, awesome unit. And it came to me as leaking. And the only thing that was leaking was the bleach tube. And these, I don't know if you're not familiar with Dependable Care washing machines, the way their bleach dispenser works is it doesn't just go directly into, like in a direct drive washing machine, you have that little bleach cup that actually just filters directly into the side of the outer tub. This one kind of has a little tube, and it goes down to the bottom with a little piece kind of sticking out of the tub, and then they just clamp a rubber hose to that, and then that's how that dispenses its bleach. Gosh, it is late at night. It is late, so excuse me if I trip over my words a little bit for this one. I'm just being real. I was also out, so we acquired that stack unit. I've got that listed. Hopefully I'll sell that for a good amount. All I had to do was cut that line back a little bit and stick it back on there. It had a hole in it. My first thought when I saw it leaking out the corner, the front corner, was the drain pump, which is no big deal. Those are $35, and considering I can turn around and sell that stacker cheaply, mind you, for $400, I think that's good money in the bank right there. Didn't have to do anything to the dryer. I just took it apart, blew it out as per standard procedure. Made sure all the wiring was good, made sure no Mickey Mouse stuff was going on there, and there's nothing. It's pretty much factory original. Aside from that, I did do a little bit of side work this evening, and that's why I'm coming to you kind of, bags under my eyes. I was out until about, let's see, it's 9:15, so I got home about 8. I'd say I've been home probably an hour or so. And I just sat down, decided to do one of these, so here I am. But that's just another few bucks in the bank for me. I'm always doing something. I'm always trying to, make a little bit of money. It was a friend of mine, so I didn't charge him too much, but, I helped him out where I could. And, I'm all about putting good karma out there. I did charge him, but I didn't charge him as much as I would an average person who called me off the street. So that worked out in his favor because he got his washing machine fixed for way cheaper than what a new one would be, even a used machine. So that worked out for him, and it worked out for me. So everybody's happy. It's just sometimes... as I touched on in one of my other videos, sometimes you can be out late in this trade, and you just gotta, you gotta power through sometimes. The other part that I was gonna use for a segue. We'll go back to that right now. Part of the shop announcements at Maytag. When the gentleman came to look at that thing, he opened the lid, and the first words out of his mouth, the first word I should say out of his mouth was, "Wow." Now, I didn't, I really just didn't say anything about it there. He was like, "What do you want for it?" I told him. He just handed me the cash. He was like, "Here, I'll take it. Done." And he's happy. Those are the deals I like, by the way. I don't like the people that are asking a bunch of questions, and they're acting like it's a life-altering decision buying a used washing machine, and it just sometimes that crap just drives me nuts. It's like, you're getting a used machine off of Facebook here. You're not getting a brand spanking new machine with all kinds of features. It's like you're just lucky I know my stuff about what I know what I'm talking about, and I can tell you that, and the other one I had that people always ask me, well, is it large capacity? And I say, well, most tubs on the earlier machines are like 3.5-ish cubic feet to somewhere around 4. I think the largest I saw is like 4.2. But now they're advertising in like the 5s of cubic footage and things like that, all because they've removed the agitator. But the difference of a couple cubic feet is like a couple of towels. And that's what I tell most people, and it's the truth. I mean, it's like 2 pairs of jeans or a couple of towels or something like that. That's really the difference. So, I mean, if you're asking, will a machine turn over a large capacity? Yeah, it probably will. But even the best machine out there, even like the older like Speed Queen AWN 412s, 432s, things like that, and the old Maytag dependable cares, they'll wash a queen size comforter and all of its bedding with it. They will. It's not a good idea to do it all the time, but they will. But people take that and they run with it. It's like having a Ferrari, and just because you have a Ferrari and it can do 150, 200 miles an hour all day long or whatever it is, it doesn't mean you're going to be doing 150 miles an hour all day long in a Ferrari, because something's gonna eventually break on the Ferrari if you're doing 120 miles or 150 miles an hour all day long, right? Same thing if you're washing a whole bunch in a washing machine. So, but anyway, going back to the wow factor. Now, what I usually do on my basic machines, stuff I'm not completely restoring, I don't pull things apart that I'm not completely restoring. I have a very Hippocratic oath about a lot of the stuff that I approach. So, if it's not broke, I don't fix it. But if I'm fully restoring a machine, like, if I'm completely taking it apart and going beyond what I call a refurbish is basically just getting it mechanically and cosmetically good. Looking decent enough to, be in a showroom, basically. I'm not like putting a coat of wax on it. I'm not like making it 5 miles deep. I'm not pulling it apart. I'm not, doing a tub seal or anything like that, or just taking my little scraper and scraping out all the 50 years worth of grime in the bottom of the tub. I'm just not doing that. What I am doing is I'm cleaning it up, making it look, decently presentable, so it looks like I care. And that's because I do. I mean, it's not a looking like about it. I mean, I do care about the machines that I sell, and I care about the people that get them, because they're looking for a cheap machine and they're looking for something that's good cheap. So whether it be a washer or refrigerator, a dryer, a range, anything, I go through it and I clean them up, and I do the best I can to ensure that they're going to stay functional for many years to come. Okay, now I'm not going to do a tub seal unless it really needs one. Okay, if it's dripping out the tub seal or something and the rest of the machine's worth saving, then I'll do it. But most of the machines that need tub seals, I usually just part them out, because I don't have the time to do things like that a lot of times, because I've only got about an hour every day where I can actually, work on them. So I try to stick to the easier stuff, drive couplings and direct drives, or, the stuff that people typically junk washing machines for that really don't require that they be junked in the first place. But the best reward that you can have is when you take a bunch of time. Like I took that whole hour on that Maytag. Actually, I took a couple of days straight on that Maytag to actually make sure that everything was working right. Because I had, a lot of times in those motor cradles, those springs will stretch out and they won't grab, and you can actually get a little bit of life out of them by taking them and just kind of bending them around the frame a little bit. And I have been known to do that. It doesn't hurt the springs at all. And flame me if you want to for that, but that was actually an old guy who taught me that, one of the old masters, I call him. And this man he owned an appliance store in town here, and he started on the Frigidaire Unimatics, which are the ones with the agitator that goes up and down in the center. Google it if you don't know what I'm talking about. They're really cool. But he started on those, and has learned little tricks of the trade, like that Maytag spring trick, ever since. And if I have a question on an old machine that I have never seen before, I call him and I say, hey, what can I do? But if you've got a Maytag dependable care machine, and that motor is not necessarily like it's grabbing the belts, but it's not really just like because your center transmission will spin around, and you'll watch it and you get a feel for about how fast they're supposed to be spinning at a given point in the cycle. Like if you've got a bunch of water in the tub, or you've got a bunch of weight in the tub, it isn't immediately going to start getting after it, So what you kind of figure how fast that thing is supposed to be spinning, and this wasn't quite getting there. So I said, hey, Winfrey, what can I do? And he said, just take those springs and just kind of bend them around the frame of the framework of the cradle a little bit. Sure enough, it worked. He's full of little tricks like that, man, and I appreciate having somebody around like that can show me the old stuff, that was working on the old stuff even, back when it was new. So that's a rare resource, guys, and if you guys have those resources out there, use them. I mean, if you know some of the old masters, like if you've got Pops or whoever, Grandpa or whatever you call the guy, I bet you he's a wealth of knowledge, man. And don't ever just kind of disregard what those guys are telling you, because they've been doing it a lot longer than you have, and they may be lost on some of the newer stuff that we're good with, but when it comes to the old stuff, oh man, they know it. And I found that in my searches for vintage appliances, they're not really like vintage cars, they're more, when people were done with them, they threw them away, and that's that. I mean, they didn't restore them, they didn't keep them. I mean, if they worked for 50 years, they worked for 50 years. People just, they passed them down to somebody, like their daughter or son that was going to college, or, their, newly married couples and things like that got hand-me-down machines. And sometimes they keep running. Sometimes the people that get the hand-me-downs break. The hand-me-downs break, and they're like, oh, well, we're in a position to buy new machines, so let's use this as an excuse to buy new machines, get rid of the old ones. That's what happens to a lot of older appliances, which is what makes this 50-year-old Maytag that I have fully restored a rarity. It makes that machine that much more of a rarity. So, the secondary market is kind of weird, and I guess we can lump this video all into just kind of my general thoughts on the secondary market and working on used appliances, because I love that wow factor. When somebody opens the lid to a washing machine, or the oven to a range, or the door of a fridge. I love them to stand there and say, "Wow." I love that because that tells me that I did a good job on what they are looking at. Mechanical stuff aside, I know the mechanical stuff is easy, but if you have attention to detail, and you do quality work, I think that's the biggest thing. If you're selling something, no matter what you sell it for, I think you should offer a quality product. Don't just try to turn something around and just sell it unless you really really have to. If you're in a bind and you don't have tools or whatever and you're just starting out, sure. But as I have gone through this and as I have developed sort of a system on what I do for used appliances when they come through my doors, I really think that quality work at this point, when you're like me, when you're like 9 years in, almost a decade into the trade, I really think you should step your game up, and that's what I'm trying to do. So with that, I think we'll end this episode here because I'm kind of starting to rabbit hole and ramble, and I don't want to take up too much of your time this evening. But that's pretty much it. I'll try to come back to you guys at some point with a little bit more interesting stuff than just hearing me ramble. That's what I'm trying to get into with the technical stuff and things like that. But like I said, it's just been slow. For the company work has been slow. I've had a lot of time lately to work on hustle machines, which benefits me perfectly fine. But actual work like service work is getting a little slow. I think I had let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, five calls. I had 5 calls today, and that's a slow day for me. That's a really really slow day. So with that, we're approaching the 20-minute mark. I am so sorry to ramble you guys. If you've stuck around, thank you so much for sticking this far. Thank you for listening to me ramble. And this has been what has come out of my brain on the 27th of January, 2020. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.